So this way, his last note is blink as we come off. Let's do that one more time. If it's still not clear, we'll figure something else that's clearer. Okay? That was beautiful. Let's just do it from the odds. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth measure from the end.
Shalom. What are we doing?
And then
tell us where that is. Which, are we still talking about this?
No.
No. All the world?
Yeah.
The hills will shout with song.
All right.
All right.
I don't know. No, I know.
thank you all so much. I am so excited.
Shutters. Right there. Second system on the third page. Yeah. Sinistral. Sinistral, sinister. All kinds of bad things come up with superstitions over time.
Like the matching tummy.
Widow hand.
They're sweet though. They're very sweet.
Is it so sweet? Is that so sweet?
Wow. Nice.
Everybody's got a amount of time to do more than learn language. I certainly
That's quite a nice one.
on a regular basis.
We're dying to know.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I think we're in for some beautiful music tonight. Thank you, Kohalev. Thank you, Cantor Miriam Eskenazi, who I'm sure Cantor Hayu will be saying more about in a little bit, and you'll be on our bima with us throughout the evening. A word, though, about our Torah portion before we begin really getting into our service. This year, as I'm sure most of you know, we added an extra month to the calendar to get our sort of lunar calendar back into the proper cycle, so that our agricultural festivals will fall at the right time, and that means that we pulled apart two parshiot that usually come together. Last week's parsha, Tazria, and this week's parsha, Metzorah. And that makes the life of rabbis more complicated. I'll say more about that in a little bit, but what I'll add for us this evening as we begin to hear these beautiful words sung before our congregation in such a beautiful way, that as I'm getting feedback, hold on. Thank you, Cantor. That the rabbis talk about the name of this Torah portion, Metzorah, as an acronym. and they say that really that word stands for Motzi Shem Ra, which is the way that the concept of libel is expressed in Jewish tradition. And so they make this connection between the words that we speak with the manifestation of this scaly skin affliction that they call leprosy in the translation, but it's really the skin diseases. The rabbis say that the words that we speak has something to do with the ways that our body deals with disease, in this case, presents a disease. That's an interesting notion for us. At the core of what they're saying to us, though, is that whatever we might, however we might understand the concept of leprosy from Torah, that really its core is about our spiritual nature. That it has to do with who we are, not necessarily if we've done something to offend God, but have we done something to offend each other? How have we been speaking about each other? And I am pretty sure that I'm not the only one who sometimes does a poor job of how I speak about other people, to other people. That tends to be an affliction we all suffer from. And so our tradition reminds us over and over and over again, and certainly in this week's Torah portion, think about how you talk about others. Think about what you say, what you're willing to say, even to your closest friends, about your closest friends, about the people you love, about the people you hate, and everybody in between. That somehow or another, our tradition suggests to us, that presents itself. And it's not only in our speech, but it comes through in our bodies, it comes through in our souls. It is something that we all must be mindful of. I am going to keep my talking this Shabbat during this service not connected to the concept I was just discussing, but my talking in general to a minimum. Although I will add that this Shabbat of the year, traditionally, in very traditional synagogues, rabbis only give 2 sermons a year, and this is one of them. And it's supposed to be the longest sermon of the year to make sure that everybody knows the laws of Pesach, of Passover, since we are the Shabbat right before Passover. And so, don't eat bread. And you only have to, according to the mitzvah, the commandment is, you only have to eat matzah, and just a little bit. And people have different regulations about what a little bit means, but you only have to eat matzah on the first night of Passover. You don't have to eat it, you shouldn't eat bread the rest of the time, but you only have to eat it as a mitzvah on that first night, and then you fulfilled your mitzvah, you fulfilled the commandment, and you're all good. So if you don't like matzah,
the rest of the box.
Yeah, right? Or the 5 that you bought.
Exactly.
Right? So if you don't like matzah, eat some on the first night, and then be done with it. Just don't eat bread. And if you're doing that, you're doing a good job. Shabbat Shalom. And Shabbat Shalom to everybody who's joining us on our live stream. You too, don't eat bread. Page 138, Lecha Dodi, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And when we reach our 9th and final verse, if you would please rise and face our entrance. But not yet at the 9th verse. The 9th verse. 1, 2, 5, and 9. We'll get there. Everybody's excited. It's good. 138, 139.
The music is in your handout.
מיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה.
לקראת שבת לכבוד נלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. התעוררי, כי ברך קומי אורי, שתדברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה.
בואי בשלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה,
לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Page 140, Psalm 92, a song written for this very day.
Also found in your handout.
Tov, tov, tov lehodot, tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov, tov, tov lehodot, tov lehodot l'Adonai. ולזמר לשמך העליון, לשמך העליון. ולזמר, ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב, טוב, טוב להודות, טוב להודות לאדוני. טוב, טוב, טוב להודות, טוב להודות לאדוני. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, בלילות. טוב, טוב, טוב להודות, טוב להודות לאדוני. טוב, טוב, טוב להודות, טוב להודות לאדוני.
We turn back in our Sidurim and our prayer books to page 120, 121 and invite to our Bima Marcia Pollenberg as we light our Sabbath lights.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Amen.
First light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Continuing on page 146 with the Baruch Hu, our call to prayer. If you're able, please rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevarach Baruch Adonai HaMevarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We continue reading at the bottom of page 149 together. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim. And continuing on the bottom of 150 together. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Please rise once more if you're able. Shema, page 152.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
I know I said I wasn't going to talk much, but I'm going to say one thing here. Next week at your Starim, you'll be sitting and going through the Haggadah, and at a certain point it will say, if you haven't done these three things, you haven't fulfilled the obligations of the Seder. That may be true. I also would add, though, if you haven't talked and read about the notion, as is essential in the Seders that I lead, that in every generation each of us is obligated to see ourselves as if we came out of Egypt. If you don't think of yourself as a person who has come out of Egypt, that God has taken you out of Egypt, then you haven't fulfilled the obligation of being a Jew. Page 158, Mi Chamocha, we sing our song of redemption, remembering not our ancestors being taken out of Egypt, but we ourselves taken out of Egypt. Page 158.
Please join in.
מי כמוך מילים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהינו עושה פלא מלכותך ראו בניך מוקד לפני משה ומרים זה לי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
As we turn our page to 162 for Vishamru, we think of asking God to keeping us safe tonight and all nights. Vishamru, page 162.
אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה את השמיים ואת הארץ.
On page 164 with the Amidah. I'll remind you we will chant beginning on 164 through page 170 and then silently either in the words in Hebrew or English, or if those words don't speak to you, the words of your heart through page 180. When you are done with your prayer, if you would please be seated so we know we can continue together as one community. For now though, if you're able, please rise, page 164.
Adonai sifratei tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imachot, U'Mevii Geula Livnei Bneihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh et Matav Lehoshia. Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Bichamocha bal gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzliach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Seder Kriyat Torah, the service for the reading of Torah. And we're going with Trina, yes? For the okay, just making sure. There's a little switch up on the board. Can be found on page 364. And it's my honor to invite Trina Fuller, the president of the Women of Temple Beth Emeth, to our bima. Please rise if you're able.
Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, udvar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai iti, Uniromi Shemo Yachdav, Lecha Adonai HaGedura, VeHaGevura, VeHaTiveret, VeHaNetzach, VeHaHod, Ki Ro b'shamayim u'va'aretz, Ki Ro b'shamayim u'va'aretz, Lecha Adonai ha'mamlacha, v'yamid na'aseh lechol erosh. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omed. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omed. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'ha'gemilut chasadim, al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'ha'gemilut chasadim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omed. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omed. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. So clearly, we have somebody awesome and special reading Torah tonight who was not listed on our handout. We owe you, Dave Gitterman, but we are very grateful that you are
We
here
can list
reading
you
Torah.
next week for having read last week. Yeah.
But I do believe that the people who are going to be chanting the blessing are listed, so it's my honor to call up Ya'amdu, Marian, and Ron, Aaron, La'aliyah, L'Torah.
As they're coming up, right, we're reading from I think the second chapter of Mitzorah, and this is about how this tzara'at, which clearly then can't be a leprosy, is also can contaminate a house, and is can grow on the walls of your house, and you have to go through certain rituals to purify the house, and if you can't, you have to tear down the house essentially. So that's where we're picking up with chapter 14, verses 33 through 36. I'll turn this on for you. You guys come closer. We'll switch spots. How about that?
Baruch Adonai Amorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe v'Aharon lemor ki tavo al eretz Canaan asher ani noten lachem la'achuza v'natati negat zarat beveit eretz achuzatchem uva asher lo habayit v'higid lakohen lemor Kenega nira li babayit v'tziva hakohen ufinu et habayit v'terem yavo hakohen lirod et hanega v'lo yidma kol asher babayit v'achar ken yavo hakohen lirod et habayit v'ra'a et hanega v'hine hanega b'kirat habayit sheka'arurot yirakarakot o adam adamot umarehen shafal min hakir. Thank you. V'yatza hakohen min habayit el petach habayit v'hizgir et habayit shivat yamim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Page 371, Refuah Shlema, full and speedy healing for all of our loved ones. We continue on page 370 as our Torah is lifted and dressed, and then we will move directly to page 374. Please rise if you're able. Trina? Do you want Please be seated. So, as I was saying at the beginning of the service, that these two Torah portions are notoriously difficult to drash on, to give a sermon on, and so I am the smartest rabbi in the entire country, because I had Rabbi Daniel, give the sermon last week, and this week we have Miriam Eskenazi, Cantor Miriam Eskenazi, here with us, as well as, of course, Cantor Hayut. I believe you're doing this together, right?
So actually,
Everybody.
we're all doing it together, but we're
Excellent.
going to learn from Cantor Miriam. If someone could get us some paper towel, I spilled water in our podium. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I know that you know Cantor Miriam also for a number of years.
Since rabbinical school.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a pleasure to have you back with us.
It's a pleasure for me to be here.
Yeah. I was just joking, though. I didn't even realize that this was Tazria and Masora these 2 weeks. But
You've said a lot of actually very profound things about the portion, so I think you're okay. So I'm just really delighted to be able to introduce one of my absolute closest friends and colleague since the day we auditioned for cantorial school. Yes, we met at our audition. We got in, and we've been friends ever since.
And we were the only ones that day.
We were the only ones that day, but there were only 4 candidates, so not to put us down or anything, but thank you so much. So Miriam has been the cantor at a number of marvelous congregations, but I would say for tonight's purpose, I'm going to say the most marvelous is the historic congregation of KAM Isaiah in the
Israel.
KM Isaiah Israel in the Hyde Park section of Chicago. And that congregation from the late 30s until the early 90s had an amazing composer and cantor named Max Janowski as the leader of the music of that community. And it was common in that generation for great music directors to be hired to lead the music and compose music for the congregation. We are still the beneficiaries of this amazing music of Max Janowski. We sing a lot of his music during the high holidays, and tonight you got a sampling of some of the music that was written for Shabbat services. And now we have the great honor of learning from someone who spent a few years as cantor and continues to work in part as archiver and disseminator of this music. So take it away.
Thank you. So before Kenta Chayut mentioned Max Janowski, how many of you had actually heard of Max Janowski? Okay, all right.
You trained well.
But who was Max Janowski? Okay? Before I start, I just want to give credit where I took all my information from. Some of it is from the office that I occupied for a number of years. Some of it is from his obituary. Some of it is from some musicologists that I've read their accounts. And the big part of it comes from Neil Levin, who writes for the Millikan Archives, and he wrote an amazing biography of Max, which I am summarizing here in part, adding my own other little things. So I want to give credit where it's due. Although he was not directly a refugee from the Third Reich, Max Dubrow Janowski is nonetheless often associated with a group of émigré liturgical composers for American Reform worship who came to the United States following the electoral victory of the National Socialist regime in Germany. Like many émigré colleagues of that time from Western and West Central Europe, his involvement with Jewish sacred music or with any aspect of formal, organized synagogue life was born in America. After pursuing a classical music career, he quickly became absorbed in the music of the synagogue and related Jewish choral activities. He was exceedingly prolific as a composer and arranger, as well as employed as a choral director and accompanist throughout his American career, which spanned more than a half a century, most of it in Chicago. In my last year at KAM Isaiah Israel Congregation, I cataloged all of his music that I found in the office in a database. and they numbered well over 1,000 compositions. A lot of them are published and a lot of them are not. He inspired several generations in their love of Jewish choral singing, even though it always involved only his own musical arrangements. He established a network of mixed amateur, semi-professional and professional choral ensembles and choristers, and he cultivated a fiercely loyal local following whose surviving veterans remained devoted to him and his music nearly 30 years after his death. Amongst his many protégés were Cheryl Mills, Isola Jones, Itzhak Perlman, who was the first recipient of this program that he instituted every year for young artists, and so forth. I personally became a devotee of Max while singing in a Jewish choir in New York, the Rottenberg Chorale, where I was chosen to sing solo on many of his famous compositions. It was an honor for me to sit in his chair at KAM Isaiah Israel congregation, where he was music director and cantor. He was made in the 70s, and for 53 years. And I was proud to continue his legacy. His obituary claims that Max was born in Germany on January 29, 1912, although we're not sure about that. Upon his arrival in Chicago, he told local cantors he was born in Poland, near Berlin, as he would say. And his parents immigrated to Berlin when he was a young child. It was common in those days for Jewish musicians, cantors, and other theatrical personalities who immigrated here to engage in this minor geographic revision. It sounded better to say you came from by Berlin, the cradle of European culture in the 19th and early 20th centuries, than to say that you came from Poland. But not knowing at first, so that interpretation goes, that he would be employed and adored for the rest of his life by a synagogue whose leadership was still heavily of German Jewish extraction and whose leanings had been in that cultural direction since its founding by a German-speaking Bohemian Jews in 1847. He might initially and automatically have thought to emphasize his Eastern European Jewish roots. Whatever his birthplace, his father had, after all, come from Poland, and Max had that knowledge of Eastern European culture and the Yiddish language, and he was a fantastic Hebraist. All of his music is with the correct accents on every single word in Hebrew. Where he was actually born is really just an illustration of relevant sociological forces at play for many years in the American Jewish experience. On a personal level, the uncertainty of his birthplace, and he rarely spoke about his pre-American years, helped create this enigmatic aura with which Janowski surrounded himself, whether deliberate or natural. He was a character. That's what I heard. What was important to any appreciation or analysis of his music is the knowledge that his pervasive aesthetic as a composer was or came to be rooted in the Eastern European tradition, not in the synagogue culture of German Jewry. This factor is reflected in his harmonic and modal language and in his solo vocal lines, none of which show much trace of the continuum of German synagogue music that he may have been exposed to during his formative years. Janowski was a very talented pianist as a child, and the influence of his father, a Baal Tefillah and amateur musician, helped him become an accomplished pianist and Hebraist. His mother, Miriam, was a professional operatic singer who, following her divorce, immigrated to Palestine and established a solid reputation under the stage name Maria Golinkin. She died estranged from her son at the age of 100, outliving him, by the way. Jan Janowski excelled in the study of classical music at a private conservatory in Berlin, and even briefly accompanied cantors on the organ in Reform synagogues there, according to musicologist Tina Fruhauf. In the early years, his aspirations were to become a classical pianist and not necessarily a composer. He was master of piano improvisations, both in rehearsals and performances, and rarely followed the written score. In fact, one of the examples we're going to present tonight, that the choir is going to sing in a little bit, had no accompaniment notated because Max always made it up. He even improvised on Handel's oratorio, Judas Maccabeus. He thought he knew it better. He could do it better. He brought this gift of improvisation to his own settings of liturgy, especially with regard to those with cantorial lines that preserve a flavor of traditional Eastern European chazanut. After winning an international piano contest at the age of 17, Max accepted a professorship of piano at the Musa Shino Academy of Music in Japan, and moved there with his father. Lucky for us, right? However, with the alignment of Japan with Nazi Germany, he followed, and following the death of his father, Max immigrated to New York in 1937 at the age of 25. Hearing of the death of the organist and choirmaster of a major synagogue in Chicago, he came out west, which was considered the Wild West in 1847, and was immediately employed by KAM, Kehilat Anshei Ma'arav, the congregation of the people of the West, which is now KAMII. Thus, in 1938, began an entirely new life and career for Janowski and a new chapter in Chicago's Jewish music history. KAM was Chicago's first synagogue. Until its merger with Temple Isaiah Israel, which itself was a merger, in 1971, it was the city's oldest continuously functioning synagogue, a distinction it retains until today. Like nearly all the American Reform synagogues established in the 19th century, it was founded originally as a nominally Orthodox congregation. However, they didn't really have allegiances to any denomination, so by 1930s, KAM had come into the forefront of the nation's leading and most prestigious Reform synagogues. Situated then and now in the comfortable neighborhood of Hyde Park on Chicago's near South Side, home to the University of Chicago, and in the 1930s to an enclave of well-to-do Jews of German heritage. KAM was typical of many congregations throughout the country, worshiping in the classical 19th century American Reform mold. Unlike some other Reform congregations, more adventurous, KAM's musical repertoire remained wedded to the 19th century American Reform traditions. Its music was still dominated by simple, homophonic, metrical hymns from Christians and early American Reform sources, adaptations from operatic, oratorio, and other Western classical music. All in all, very little Hebrew was sung at services, either by choir or congregation. When Janowski joined its staff, KAM's musical tastes were unaffected by the introduction elsewhere in settings by such synagogue composers as Stark, Saminsky, and Binder. Moreover, even as late as 1938, KM apparently had not yet adopted the revised third edition of the Union Hymnal, which was edited by Binder, I think, which injected an aura of Ashkenazi authenticity into Reform services with its serious synagogue composition and traditional melodies from Eastern European tradition. But Max got a crash education of Jewish modes, traditional cantorial recitatives, and so forth from the many cantors whom he met in Chicago area, who engaged him to accompany them in concerts and arrange such cantorial recitatives for choirs and organ. This experience served him well as he began to compose music for his own synagogue. Thus, he was tasked by Rabbi Jacob Weinstein to bring Reform worship, and particularly its music, more in line with current practices. With Rabbi Weinstein's support, Max was able to gradually break the barriers of the diehards of the German tradition. One would think he might have brought in the musical contributions of other European émigré synagogue composers, whose settings were by the late 40s becoming standard fare in progressive Reform synagogues. That group includes such composers as Herbert Fromm, Hugo Chaim Adler, Isidor Fried, Heinrich Schalit, and Max Helfman, among others. However, Max Janowski was completely unfamiliar with their work, and he appears to have been disinterested. None of it was sung at KAM during his tenure there. Instead, he chose to compose entirely on his own, everything to be sung at services, operating in a self-imposed vacuum and becoming KAM's permanent resident composers, as well as favorite son of Reform and some conservative circles in the greater Chicago area, as far north as Milwaukee. Using the knowledge gained from local cantors and intrigued by modal aspect of our musical tradition, he often relied on it for its foundation. Without allowing it to restrict him, his signature style was marked by welcome simplicity, lean textures that could still, when called for, provide ample lushness and volume, appealing melody, straightforward yet often engaging solo lines, sometimes but not always cantorially influenced, uncomplicated chord progressions, and perhaps the most important for amateur and semi-professional choirs that frequently supplemented his professional ensembles, ease of rehearsal and performance. Our opening psalm tonight, Psalm 100, composed in 1966, achieved all of the above. Max called his new style of music, as I told the choir a few weeks ago, simple-lective, which is an arrangement, simple-lective arrangement, a combination of simple and effective. The partnership that began with Rabbi Weinstein encouraged and enabled Max to compose an amazing number of solo, choral, and instrumental liturgical composition in his long tenure at KAM and later KAM-II. Entire services for Shabbat, the first one being Avodat HaKodesh, the Baruch that we sang tonight, and the Shema, were in that first Shabbat service compilation commissioned by the choir committee in 1947 for KAM's 100th anniversary. Entire services for festivals and high holidays, 6 biblically based cantatas, music for children's choirs. He was actually one of the first music directors to go to Asrui. Do kids from here go to Asrui? Some. So right along with Debbie Friedman, he was right there from the beginning of Asrui. For all his fame, KAM did not really pay Max a huge salary. They were always quibbling about that. And he was obliged to take on other work. He traveled twice a month to Milwaukee to direct the large choirs of a conservative synagogue, Bethel Ner Tamid, composing music for them as well. We're going to hear one sampling of that. And in his later years, he also became the music director of an African-American church in Hyde Park, and he arranged and composed a lot of music for them as well. And we'll hear a little sampling of that too. It's unpublished. In addition, he undertook the task of composing a musical anthem for each parsha of the week.
Wow.
Yes, he did. Numerous assorted songs and song arrangements, many solo and choral pieces related to the land of Israel. He would take other people's compositions, like Mark Lavery, that we're going to hear Kinneret tonight, and he would make his own arrangement of it, and that's what they would sing. His music was published by his own music publishing company, which was called Friends of Jewish Music, which is now defunct, pretty much, and publicized his compositions through word of mouth and newsletters. Much of his music remains unpublished, languishing in the filing cabinets of KAM-II. My successor at KAM, Cantor David Berger, has attempted to publish some of this music a couple of years ago, and he published a book called Treasures from the Janowski Archives. But notwithstanding his large body of compositions and the many pieces that are generally known and even standard fare in Reform and some conservative synagogues, Janowski's principal mileage consistently has been gained from a smaller handful of pieces that are familiar on a national, and I should say international level. First and foremost among this is his exquisite setting of the abbreviated Reform version of the High Holiday Prayer, Avinu Malkeinu. Yes, we can all say that. Since its composition in 1951, even his detractors, and there's no composer without detractors, have always acknowledged its uniqueness, its obvious inspiration, and its simple nobility. His setting of Sim Shalom, which hopefully we will also hear tonight, based on the same four-note ascending-descending motif, is a favorite concert piece that is equally familiar and beloved. I would like to now play a couple of samples in my technologically advanced toys here. Let's see if I can get it to work. I spent the whole afternoon yesterday working on it. But today, it doesn't seem to want to do that. Anyway, the first piece is going to be, it's in honor, why isn't this turning on? Oh, I know why. Okay. It's in honor of Passover. It is the Song of the Sea. It is a anthem that was composed for the Torah portion called Beshalach, which is where we chant the Song of the Sea. And so this is not cooperating, so right this minute. Can you turn this on? Can you see if you could turn this on? This is the thing. That's okay. Don't worry about it. And it was a performance from his 100th anniversary birthday. And is it turning on? If we get it, we get it. If not, maybe it needs to be. We had it all in the rehearsal. You just hold it, yeah. Okay. We will skip right along. Oh, Regina, you are an angel. Okay. So, this is called Ashira Ladonai. I will sing to God, and it's about a horse and his riders, because they followed the Israelites. Okay? So you can hear the horse. The soloist is cantor Corey Winter. Corey was one of Max's soloists in the beginning, and then he became a cantor, and he was cantor at BJBE for many, many years. Okay, let's see if we can make this work. Can you hear it? Or just me? Okay, hang on. iPhone. Okay. From the beginning again. Ugh, I'm so sorry. Okay, you're getting it in the middle. It doesn't work in there? Can you hear? A lot of his compositions have that. I want to stop it because all of it goes very much in the same vein, and it's 6.5 minutes long. And for the next pieces, I want to play you the spiritual that Max arranged for his African American church, which is not published at all. If I can find it here in my library. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. Okay, wait, stop. Okay. Big Blue. We got to do Big Blue. And we got to go back to the beginning. Okay, ready? It's still in my hearing aids. I put Big Blue.
Moving, no lots of moving, I'm going home. Lots of moving, lots of moving, I'm going home. See that sister dress so fine, she ain't got a religion on her mind. See that brother looks so gay, the devil wants to come and take him away. Hear that brother, give a shout. Don't say the word again if you don't watch out. See that sinner clapping his hands. and I'm going home. I'm going home, home, going, home.
So these choirs, thank you so much. These choirs were a compilation of Kol Zimra, which is the Jewish choir in Chicago, and Max's choir from Beth Emeth Tamid, which is still in functioning, in existence, conducted by Enid Butzin, and the choir from a church that his most favorite soloist, Kurt Hansen, conducted, and he came and he was part of this. So it was like a really big event. All right. So now the choir is going to sing for us one of Max's beloved Hebrew, Israel. He loved Israel, and he arranged and composed many pieces. And this piece, Kinneret, is who wrote the poem then? Avigdor, by Avigdor, and the music was by Mark Lavry originally. Avigdor Hameiri. Thank you, Noga. And bevakasha. That was beautiful. So before we end, we're still going to do Sim Shalom? So Sim Shalom, Max's favorite composition. We're going to end our presentation with it. And I would like to thank you all for learning about Max and for inviting me here and for singing his music. And I hope we all become groupies of Max. I can come next year and do a completely different program. Okay. Are you going to sit or are you going to stand? You want to stand or you want to sit?
Back rows.
Okay.
I think you guys.
Wow. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Kol Halev. I will say though, everybody knows those dreams where you you're like you get to school, high school, and you didn't prepare for the test or hand in your paper. Like this was a living dream for me that like now I have to give a 25-minute sermon that I didn't prepare. So it just raised my anxiety. Yeah. And also thank you to our junior youth group who's here for a shulin tonight, getting a little bit more service than they expected. Thank you guys. As we continue with our service, page 586. Aleinu, please rise if you're able.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתקן ולעשר בראשית, שלא עשנו כברי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו בכל העולם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Please be seated. Why should I wish to see God better than this day? I see something of God in each hour of the 24 and in each moment then. In the faces of men and women I see God, and in my own face in the glass. I find letters from God dropped in the street, and every one is signed by God's name, and I leave them where they are. For I know that whereso I go, others will punctually come forever and ever. We are in the first 30 days of mourning, the period of Shloshim for Ray Mike, Lottie Rosenbaum, Ruth Bromberg, and Jean Fair. Our yard sites this week are for Barnett Aaron, Miriam Barris, Fanny Benjoya, Gears Tzvi Block, Mildred Califf, Benjamin Califf, Rose Krug, Janelle Fain, Howard Fink, Ernst Gentile, Lloyd Hanna, Max Hart, Trina Jacobs, Mary Jedlika, Martha Kahn, Shirley Levitt, Lois Levy, Cynthia Margolis, Louis McMullen, Ethel Moore, Ethel Parent, Juliet Rubin, Max Rubin, Alexander Zabo, Sam Taylor, Ray Weiss, and Margie Wright. If there are other names to add to our list for mourning, please do so as my eyes meet yours. For all of those mentioned, for all of those who go unmentioned, and for all of those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, we rise, page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma tivarach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon, u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'izman kariv v'yamru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach ve'olam u'lamei almaya, Yitbarach, v'yishabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yithalal, shemei d'kudesha b'richu, ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו amen. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be forever a blessing. Please be seated. And as I invite Trina back to our Bima for words of welcome and announcements, I'll just also add that TBE, besides now having you grace our Bima twice, Miriam, has other deep connections to KAM. So David Berger was a classmate of mine in Jerusalem, and Fred Reeves grew up as a Jew here at this synagogue and is now the rabbi at KAM. And so some of you may remember Fred from a number of years ago. Betty, how long ago was he here?
He was at his bar mitzvah here before he went to rabbinical school.
Yes.
I was president, so it was 20-something years ago.
Wow.
Very nice.
Wow.
Yeah. So and now I should say, by the way, like you were saying something about like, you know, Miriam was the cantor at, you know, I forget exactly the accolades you give KAM, but now she's been at TBE.
That's right.
Just want to put that out there.
Thank you very much for saying it that way.
Okay.
Yay.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to all our visitors tonight. I would like to give a very large thank you to Cantor Eskenazi for being with us tonight and sharing the music and the life of Max Janowski with us. It was really wonderful. Cole Halev, Ray, you really made it just sound wonderful tonight, and Regina also. Thank you so much. Let's see. So I want to thank our ushers for helping us out tonight, Jenny and Chris. I don't know if Chris is still here. Okay. Our Oneg tonight. I don't see you.
She's trying to collect books.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Chris. I see you back there. Our Oneg tonight is sponsored by Ned Kirsch and Paula Hiller. So we invite you all to come to our social hall and enjoy a little Oneg delight tonight. I'm going to have everyone just turn your attention to the brochure for just a moment. There's a lot on there, but two things I want to highlight. Mitzvah Day is coming up on Sunday, May 5th. There are grocery bags, paper bags on the table in the back that have a list of items needed for the backdoor food pantry. So if everyone could take two and fill them up. That would be really nice. And there's a Sign Up Genius form in our email that came out. So there's a link on there so you can sign up for your Mitzvah Day mitzvah. So go on there and check that out and help everybody out. The other thing I want to highlight is the Yom HaShoah service coming up on May 1st. It's 7:30, and that's a Wednesday, right? So it's usually such a lovely service, and so if you can all come out and really listen to what these ladies have to say, ladies and gentlemen, it's really a nice service. So let's see, Dave Gitterman, thanks for chanting tonight. Nice job on that. And I think that is it. Did I forget anything? Pick up your books. Hi, Laura.
I would like to call everyone's special attention to the Genesis Grounds and Garden cleanup. You know that everything around your home is all popping through the ground. Well, we have the same thing here around our beautiful buildings in Genesis. So please join us on Sunday, April 28th, starting at 1 to 4 for a half hour, an hour, 2 hours, whatever you're ready to do. Bring your gloves.
You're welcome. Our flowers are so beautiful here, so thanks to the committee that keeps the gardens up. So, okay, so everyone have a great Shabbat and enjoy the oneg.
Thank you, Trina. Shabbat shalom to you. Yeah, Seder, that's right. We have our Seder, the fifth night of Passover.
Doesn't everyone?
It's much more relaxing.
Much more relaxing.
Yeah, join us.
Our services next Friday.
Friday, that's a great question. 5 o'clock services next Friday. It'll be probably, we're gonna shoot for 35 minutes.
That sounds good to me.
And hopefully be done in 45. But 5 o'clock next Friday night, so that you can get to your Seder. I'm certainly going to get to mine. So yeah.
Cool.
Yes. We have one more. Guys, you've been so awesome. Now you get challah. Come on, let's go. Come on. You've been so awesome. Right, apparently. Okay, here we go. Let's see. It is wine. I'm going to hold it tonight. So here we go. You ready? We'll raise our glass. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei beriah gafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'b'ratzon yigdilanu zikaron le'maseh v'reishit ki hu yom tefillah le'mikra'ei kodesh zecher le'tziat Mitzrayim kivanu b'charta v'yotanu gidashta
mikohanim v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava u'vratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat lechaim. So you'll all hold this when we say the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
Nikki, good luck. I think they're going to be like this all night. So just thank you, Nikki. Nikki Feinberg, our youth group advisor, who's clearly going to be up all night. So.
And our closing song is in your handout. Miriam, you didn't tell us about this closing song.
The closing song is from the Gates of Prayer that was published in the 70s. It's All the World, and it is a translation of a 7th century Hebrew poem. And it's Max's melody. It's not the one that you know. So, okay?
Probably not.
When it comes to the word shout, please shout.
That's way later on. All the world shall come to serve you and bless your glorious name. And your righteousness triumphant, the islands shall proclaim. And the people shall go seeking who knew you not before. And and their graven God shall shame them as they turn to you alone. They shall worship you at sunrise and feel your kingdom's might, and impart their understanding to those astray in night. With the coming of your kingdom, the hills shall shout with song, and the islands shout exultant that they to God belong. And through all your congregations, soul of your praise shall ring, that the utmost people hearing shall hail you, crowned King. Or sovereign. Crowned sovereign. That doesn't fit the
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, and thank you all.
It was.